and welcome to the midweek edition of Inside Nigeria, your number one breakfast show on television. My name is Winifred Bebo. It's my pleasure to host you for this program. With me in the studio is our usual Wednesday guest, the Triple Chief, as I used to I fondly call him. He's a public affairs analyst, a TV host, and a syndicated columnist. His name is Mr. Jide. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you around.
Winifred,
Yes.
thanks very much. Happy birthday to Winifred.
Thank
Today
you.
today is our
my
birthday.
born day.
Birthday. Yeah, bro.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have papers for review this Monday. I say this Monday. This Wednesday. This Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, which incidentally is my birthday. And of course, without wasting much time, most of the papers we have for review this morning have similar story on as their main cover. We'll start off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership leads with the story 2023 presidential poll. Obi Labour Party have no case, INEC test tribunal. 2023 presidential poll, Obi Labour Party have no case, INEC test tribunal. Says relief sought by petitioners not grantable. President-elect duly elected. Tinubu APC 1 petitions dismissed. 2023 presidential poll, Obi Labour Party have no case, INEC test tribunal. Says relief sought by petitioners not grantable. President-elect duly elected. Tinubu APC 1 petitions dismissed. So from Leadership, we have similar story on The Nation. The Nation says Atiku didn't meet conditions to win, INEC test tribunal. Atiku didn't meet conditions to win, INEC test tribunal. Commission replies PDP candidates petition. FCT has no special status. Obi's petition should be dismissed. Same story on This Day. This Day says INEC, no act of infraction substantial enough to nullify 2023 presidential poll. INEC, no act of infraction substantial enough to nullify 2023 presidential poll. Argue same constitutional provisions apply to states. FCT on 25% in 24 states. Insists Tinubu won. Article contains that election petitions put judiciary on trial. APC, tribunal lacks necessary jurisdiction to entertain petition on Tinubu's qualification. Obi has no locus standing. The Punch says Tinubu won presidential poll, INEC test tribunal. Tinubu won presidential poll, INEC test tribunal. President-elect clinched 1/4 of valid votes cast in 29 states electoral umpire, that is INEC. Losing FCT IREV hiccups can't invalidate APC victory, says INEC. Okay, that's what we have. And of course, for the photo pages on the cover of these papers, we have a picture of obviously some Nigerians, 256 stranded Nigerians rescued from Libya and Chad. You can see the pictures on the page on the cover of the Punch newspaper. And we also have similar picture on The Nation and of course Blueprint newspaper. So we are going to be speaking to what this, like obviously the election tribunal is about playing.
Thank you very much, Winifred. Many Nigerians are waiting with bated breath to see whether they will, what the judiciary will do. I don't know whether you read Simon Kolawole on Sunday, where he warned of the attempt to delegitimize the judiciary by some supporters of some presidential candidates. And that's my worry too. When people say, oh, if somebody steals something from you and asks you to go to court, his brother or his father is the judge. That does not sync with what judiciary stands for. Disputed election is not peculiar to Nigeria. And this is not the first time we've had disputed election. In 2007, that was even said to be the worst electoral east in Nigeria. In the split decision of 4-3, the Supreme Court still upheld that election. Why? Because it says there were no substantial issue. I mean, that there could not be a proven case of substantial non-compliance. And Atiku was the main challenger then. Atiku said, there was no serial number on the ballot paper. There was also no binding of the, and that he didn't have time to campaign because the Supreme Court cleared him barely a month to the election. So he didn't have so, and so I recall that Supreme Court then lashed out at Atiku that he was appropriating and reprobating at the same time. You said you did not participate in the election because the time that the Supreme Court cleared you and the time of election was just so short for you to do meaningful campaign. But at the same time, you said that the election should be nullified on basis of the fact that there was no serial number on the ballot paper and that the ballot paper was not bound. And I've taken my own made effort to educate Nigerians on how judiciary works. You see, the fireworks has begun. What INEC is saying, he said there were no, let me see the appropriate word. Yes, it's captured by THISDAY. He said, INEC, no act of infraction substantial enough. It means that there were infractions. But as I keep telling people, it's not that election electoral law envisage a perfect election. That it still envisage that there will be some flaws, some infraction, but according to section 135 Winifred, it said elections shall not be invalidated nor nullified unless there was substantial non-compliance. So, I learned Peter Obi and Labour Party has challenged INEC on basis of 18,000 polling units. 18,000 polling units. That's what I read somewhere. I don't know how far that's true. Assuming without considering that he is challenging result of 18,000 polling units. Winifred, in good conscience, if you are going to be dispassionate, we have 176,846 polling units. If you do not challenge the result of 100 up to 100,000, we have 176,846 polling units. INEC said there will be no election in 240. So it comes down to 176,606 polling units. And now you are challenging result in 18,000. How can 18,000? It's less than 1%. 1% of 170. I think this has been my position, that people should stop parroting the narratives of the politicians. You are challenging results in 18,000 of the polling units.
I thought it was challenging in some states.
No, 18,000 across several states. Okay. I don't know whether you understand. 18,000 across several states. I don't know how many states, but that's what I read somewhere. Now, if you are challenging 18,000, let me tell you the challenges. You know, Clark, SAN, not Edwin Clark. I've watched his video where he said it would be very difficult for Peter Obi or Atiku to overturn the victory of Tinubu. Let me tell you how, and for the benefit of those who are watching us, when you prove that there were fraud, assuming in 18,000, one, you have 21 days to file your petition from the date the election result was declared, according to section 285 of the Constitution. Now, you have filed your petition. You now have to prove beyond reasonable doubt, polling units by polling unit, ward by ward, local government by local government, state by state, to uphold that. Because it's a criminal allegation. When you allege fraud, fraud is not civil. It's not like me and you having a spat. Your head is not correct. Your head is correct. And that one is civil. You know, it's like two fighting, as they say in local parlance. two fighting, you now go to police. Hey, he abused my father. Hey, you abused my mother. That one is civil. Nobody would send you to jail on the basis of that. They will just say, okay, stop abusing each other. Be civil, be polite. Stop disturbing public peace. You understand? That's civil. But where you allege fraud, the law, the electoral law of Nigeria said you have to prove. It's a criminal allegation. And because it's a criminal allegation, you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And you cannot say in Lagos, in Yobe, no. You have to start from the lowest level, polling unit. So when you bring a witness, you may have gathered evidence, plenty evidence. You now brought, I recall what Atiku did in 2019. Atiku brought sackload and truckload of what he called evidences of infraction that he won the 2019 election. Okay, fine. The clerks, they took custody. Now, you cannot dump this thing. You need to lead evidence of witnesses on each of those documents. Now, this is where the catch is. You have 180 days, 6 months. Now, when you call petitioner witness 1, when you call that witness, you, as the petitioner counsel, will examine that one person. You cannot call 5 people at the same time. It's one.
In Anambra State, it's only a police officer. Was it not just a police?
No, Imo. That one.
They used to obtain
that one. INEC did not join. INEC did not defend his position. You can see that in this particular INEC is
because
defending.
he also brought INEC.
Exactly. INEC is defending, and that was. Did you know that in Osun it was INEC that challenged the tribunal verdict, that even went on appeal, that look, we conducted good election.
So sorry, I don't, let me just debate a bit. What now was the game changer in that Osun election? Because
the game changer was what the INEC claim was that the certified true copy they initially gave to Oyetola's camp was preliminary, that all the results had not been uploaded as at the time they issued that, and that the evidence that was relied on, which was the preliminary Beavers report, because they have one first report, then they have what they call was this substantial or whatever, which they issued to the other camp, the Ademola Adeleke camp. So, you know, in Osun, it was a split decision, 2-1. The Oyetola's camp was relying on overvoting in 149 polling units. And when they did the maths, plus or minus, they said it's Oyetola that won, that Demola did not win. But when they went on appeal, INEC now said, look, what we initially issued to the camp of Oyetola was preliminary. It was not the final. When you look at the final report, it shows that the result of those places that they challenged tallied with what was reflected. So I think that's what the Court of Appeal unanimously 3-member panel now opposed. So coming back to the issue of Peter Obi and Labour Party. Now, this is what...
And you said with the evidence that Atiku presented in 2019 that you have to divide it, you brought it. So it's
truckload and truckloads of evidences. But you know what the Supreme Court said? The Supreme Court said you came and don't exhibits or not without leading evidence. You know why? The reason is that Atiku tried to call, my memory serves me right, about 150 witnesses. In 180 days. Meanwhile, one witness, when you say PW, petitioner's witness, PW, one witness can be cross-examined over 3-5 days. So you say, oh, you are the, this is just an illustration. oh, you are the.
So what the election tribunal was saying, that they don't have that time.
They don't have the time. They cannot have the time, because if you read my column in the Punch today, I said it way back in 2010, there is not time limit. Unlike when Peter Obi was contesting against Ibige,
Yes.
that time there was,
years.
it was 3 years,
Limited.
3 years plus. So there was no timeline. But in 2010, there is not definitive timeline. You cannot, whatever you want to prove it within 6 months. Now, this 6 months is not casting. This 6 months, the Supreme Court has said the interpretation of 6 months is that it is cast in stone. It's like a rock of Gibraltar that cannot be moved. That whether that 6 months starts to come from day your petition is entertained. Well, you can't go 180 days, Saturday, Sunday inclusive. It's not 180 working days. It's 180 days. Now, how do you prove? You now line up 150 witnesses. Mark you are the petitioner. You line up 150 witnesses. Then the defendant will also line up 200 witnesses. So for equity and balance, they cannot take only your own witnesses. At some point, maybe after 3 months, the tribunal will say, okay, give us your best 20 or your best 50. You get, so that we don't waste the time of the court. Because when each person you bring to witness box, the petitioner will first examine the person. The respondent will cross-examine, and the defendant or the respondent, they want to waste time. So the question that is not necessary, they will start asking you, did you even eat that day? Did you go to eat at any point in time? What dress were you wearing that day? What time did you arrive? Those questions that are really, because they want to waste the time of the court. In fact, they will even challenge jurisdiction. In all of this in 180 days, I'm telling those who are watching us to know the antics of politicians. They will say, my lord, this court does not have jurisdiction to entertain this case. So they would leave the main issue, go on a court of appeal. From court of appeal, they go to Supreme Court. All of this within 180 days, because the respondent wants to waste the time of the court. The petitioner is wrangling. Let's do this. No, they said no.
Anyway,
for fair hearing.
So
the case is in court. What I'm saying is that people need to understand how tribunal. There is one thing called in law that election petition is sui generis. It's in a world of its own. It's not a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. It's unique to the. In a civil case or in a criminal case, you cannot bind the hand of the court and say you have to do this in 3 months, in 2 months. But in election matters, it said for tribunal or court of first instance. I need to make that clarification, because it's not just tribunal. Like the presidential petition starts from court of appeal. That is their own court of first instance, and so it moved from court of appeal to Supreme Court for presidential. But for governorship, it starts from the tribunal, 3-man tribunal. When after 180 days, you now have 60 days to go on appeal to from tribunal to court of appeal, 60 days. Then if you want to go to Supreme Court, another 60 days. So cumulatively, you are looking at 200.
We have just from there to
for presidential, you have just from 180 days at the court of appeal and then 60 days at the Supreme Court. So no other. In fact, our own is better than Kenya. Did you know that constitutional court in Kenya sits for just 2 weeks? And you are looking at me. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 14 days. So there is nothing you want to prove within that period. And that's why it's very difficult to overturn election in Africa. Because for countries that just appeal to constitutional court and you have 2 weeks, which evidence would you want to prove? The reason why 2017 election in Kenya was nullified was because it was a straightforward case that the uploaded results and the manual results did not tally in about 1,000 polling units. And so their lordship, and it was even a split decision, their lordship now says that, look, this result have been tampered with. If that is what Peter Obi's team is canvassing, and they can prove in 180 days, look, this result, the one from Beavers, this is it. The one that you uploaded, this is it. There is difference of XY. The court will take note.
I think I also saw something like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. But what? Wait for this. Now, don't forget, it's not that straightforward. They will not, what the tribunal will not do at the end of the day, giving the number.
I think we report yesterday. I think we said he was going with the real result.
That's what he said in 2019. Don't forget. He said, forget that thing. That's what he said in 2019, that he has his own result, that there was a database.
Yeah. That was what in this case. He said that it's server. And then they came to court and said there was no server.
There was no server. So, and he was insisting that by that server, he won by over 2 million votes. So this time, we have had it before. Let him come out with the real result. But what I'm telling you is that if you go by witness evidence, you will never achieve much. And let me also say this, even where you have incontrovertible evidence that there's discrepancy between the result uploaded and the one that you are still going to be cross-examined on the basis, because you could have altered your own. I don't know whether you understand me. Because if the other camp says, but this is our own result, it tallies with then it will be proof. Where did you get your own? If you see what is happening in Rivers, where members of PDP have disallowed APC to go and inspect INEC facility. You know why? They said no. Anything, we cannot allow only you to go and inspect. If you are going to inspect, all of us have to go together, so that you are not going to fiddle with the system and discredit the election. If you want to go, we are not saying you should not go, but you cannot go alone. PDP agent will be there. Your agent will be there. Let's see what you want to see. INEC will be there, which is fair enough, because don't put anything beyond politicians, which is why the Court of Appeal also allowed INEC to reconfigure Beavers. Because what Peter Obi's camp wanted after the presidential election was that court should allow them to have access to Beavers, so they will check each of the Beavers, record the scores, and then compare it to the one issued to their agent. Don't forget, anything can happen, because smart tech guys, you can just input one thing, one figure, and you change the whole thing. So that is why the court says, okay, INEC, what do you say to this? They said they can upload to the back end all the results, and then everyone, they will issue them CTC, that's certified true copy. But when Peter Obi's camp insisted that they want to physically inspect, INEC said no. We are your regulator. You cannot be dictating to us terms and conditions. You request for CTC. We say we are going to make CTC available to you. But to say you want to come and physically inspect our back-end server, no. Because when you go with the expert, then you start pressing some button, maybe something wiped off. You come out and say, hey, INEC has deleted the... Maybe it could have been done by them. So by and large, there is what I see is mutual suspicion between the political class and the electoral management body, and among the political class themselves. But it's an interesting times we are.
Yes, so
we wait to see how of this will pan out ultimately.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Now, I want to also speak to a developing story. Yesterday, it broke this former MD, Hadiza Usman. She launched a book, Stepping Onto My Stewardship at MP, where she made some allegations. Like leadership captured the $22 million Calabar channel dredging. Intel's contracts cost me my job, Hadiza Usman. $22 million Calabar channel dredging. Intel's contracts cost me my job, Hadiza Usman. And of course,
by the way, Intel is owned by Atiku Abubakar.
Yes, although he finally divested himself from it.
No, he has sold I think he has sold the
yes. Company. And the Nation says Amechi fired me from NPA over contract dispute. Amechi fired me from NPA over contract dispute. And the story trended yesterday. Why some said that some news report had it that because he didn't give Amechi birthday gift, that was why. And she also made a surprising disclosure, because many people thought, including yours, said it, that it was the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, that actually appointed her for the job. But she said no, that it was Amechi himself. So, what do you have to say on that?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't follow that story.
Really?
I'm just saying
This is unlike you. What
yeah,
happened?
yeah, it
You were
does
busy
happen. I
yesterday.
mean, I don't like, unlike me,
There's
I
story
didn't
that
quite.
trended. And why some people were like, what? Somebody that appointed you to that position, what is wrong in
Yeah, but
appreciating him on his birthday?
yeah, again, our father is an activist. Balawi Ismail, historian Balawi Ismail of blessed memory. He was
And why
like,
also some of the opinion that too, that maybe she would have been found wanting. If not, there's
no,
no way
no,
Buhari would have
Amechi's
relieved her of her job.
allegation was that there were some remittances that were
Not
not
me.
made to the
But in
federation.
the book, she alleged that after all said and done, that there was nothing found on her. She was not found wanting.
Well,
But she was still,
according
but
to
that she said after all entreaties to Amechi, even some governors, she even called names that like controller of customs. Uh, I mean, and he even went personally to talk to Wiki on her business and say Wiki Amechi on her behalf, but Amechi was adamant that the matter has already passed.
well, the issue is that she has published a book to clear her name,
Stepping
and
on toes.
stepping.
Testimony.
This is what this is also what this is what Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said in her book about fighting corruption. That when you fight corruption, corruption fight back. Many people were disappointed with her visa, given the fact that her father was an actor. Of course, she was also one of the bring back her girls activists. And then, so people felt, oh, she's a letdown. Why did you have to do that? You didn't remit some money and stuff. But it's good that she has published a book to clear her name. I'm sure if he has
Of course,
mentioned to
Amechi
mention
said
it.
he also give his own side of the story.
Exactly.
That was exactly not what happened.
So that makes, and this is why it's very important for public officials to write their memoirs, so that we have the benefit of Malam El-Rufai wrote Accidental Civil Servant,
Yes.
and he mentioned some very very scintillating stories in it. But Adiza, I commend her for developing the liver, as we say in local parlance, to write her story, put the record straight. And if truly she's been found not wanting, I'm sure she could still find herself in public office at a later date, because nobody has sent her to jail. There has not been panel of inquiry that. If she was relieved of her position out of vendetta, I'm sure Amechi is no longer in power. Buhari is a lame dog. In the next 45, 47 days, Buhari will be, and she could still find herself in corridor of power, because I know, a clear conscience fears no accusation. For her to have, written about stewardship and all the controversies, I believe that if anybody has issues with her disclosures, she's opening herself to libel. But if what she said is the truth, we have to give her benefit of that what she said is the truth. But it's good. We should commend her for writing about her story. But let me quickly say this. I don't know whether we'll have opportunity to weigh in on this woman's story about the Libyan and Chadian. To people around me. This Japa phenomenon, they want to Japa. Nigeria is not safe. Nigeria is not. Where is safe in the world? Tell me one country that is safe. Is it US where there's mass shooting?
Somebody will just take gun.
Mass shooting every week
and start shooting.
and kill people recklessly.
And
where you
when she's done, he or she is done, she
yes,
say go
kill himself, or racist law because of the color of your skin.
Yes.
You are discriminated against.
Police too are also as worse as us.
Look,
You see them
yes,
pouncing on a black guy and
look at the account beat of
beat him to death.
they beat him to death. It's still happening in
Yes, it's still happening.
in this 21st century.
Yes.
So
even when Barack Obama was there as a black president, it even happened more. Because I read the report
you didn't hear all the racial slur against even Barack. And in UK, robbery case in UK is alarming now.
You saw a student that the teacher, everybody watched, they almost beat her to death, and nobody even. That was in UK. I saw the video.
Did you know that a member of parliament in UK was knifed to death some years ago?
Yes.
While she was campaigning.
So actually, there's nowhere that is safe.
In Japan, we have seen former prime minister of Japan, the longest serving prime minister of Japan, killed. Abe was killed at. In fact, you need to watch how the guy was killed in Japan with all the technological devices. This man was there in open campaigning, and somebody rushed at him and stabbed him.
And that was the
fatally. That was like in 2021.
In India, it was also the same thing. The prime minister,
Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, Indira Gandhi. You know. So what I'm saying is that crime is everywhere. Now these people, they jackpot because they feel Nigeria is not safe. Nigeria, they are not making money. They want to go abroad. Now look at it. They are begging Nigerian government to do. This is what they call when you jackpot, you can jackpot that. In Yoruba, you know, when you go, you can also find your way, you know, appealing to many people abroad want to come back. Some, they don't even have money to buy their return ticket. Some, it's out of shame that they are just there.
Yes.
You know, some are
wasting away in prisons.
Did you see the story of one Yoruba boy that somebody, the guy possibly has mental issues? You know, they were now the video trended like last week. They said anybody that knows his family should please reach out to get him rehabilitated. The boy just was milling around the park in US.
What about last day? Did you see the report that the UK government did? So many Nigerians who died and they still have property. Nobody cares to their next.
That's it. So
they were saying if you know them. Their names
I didn't even know that. I didn't even see that. So what I'm saying is that while it's good for you to migrate, think it through. What do you want to be doing in that place? The prestige you have in Nigeria, look at you, beautifully dressed, and you are the senior editor here. If you go there now, you may be a street sweeper. You may be a waitress.
I had a friend like that married and she was thinking that she was talking the money they paid them. They graduate sweeping
the street. And at the end of the day, you pay tax for everything. Parking lot, pay tax for water rates, electricity. What they pay for electricity is such that if they charge us here, you go and protest at disco. Because when you convert it, do you know that this here you do that you pay 5,000?
Yes.
You go and do it.
I see how much we pay.
Some people they just wear wig to cover them because they cannot afford. Because to do weave alone, when they say £50, convert it to naira, you are looking at maybe 60,000 naira. You say 60,000 to do what? To do. So what we are saying is that yes, I've challenged the federal government of Nigeria.
Recently, I tried to dissuade somebody who said that that she has made up her mind.
No, it's
that
good.
That just go there, make money, maybe become established.
That is what they always say. But it's good. But these are the pictures. The pictures are telling the story. There was a trending video I saw last year in India, of all places. One man, or it was a man or a woman, stage 4 cancer. Was just at the airport. No money.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria, maybe federal government promised to evacuate some of them, but they have limit, maybe 100, about 500 now cable. So in India, wanting to come back. The people don't want to listen to this.
It's what I keep telling people, that no matter what you make of it, Nigeria is still a better place.
It's still a better place.
I tell them that there's this feeling of camaraderie. How do you call it?
Yes, now love.
You are broke. Now I can call. I'm broke now. Just help me.
Exactly. 10K, 20K.
Where will you get that? You just be alone and
No, but people, there is a sense that the grass is greener on the other side. And I am telling people, I'm not saying you should not jump out.
Few times I have traveled, I meet blacks and Israeli Nigerians, and maybe that's why I work from. I've never. People say because maybe you want to have access to premium. That's why you don't look up the travel. I say traveling where the black Nigerians I say abroad. No, it's not. No, there's nothing to look for.
My experience in Geneva in 2005 was an eye-opener. White people inside trade begging as arms. They are begging for arms.
We
in
went
US,
we went to a Nigerian restaurant that they said we should. They gave us the menu with the price. So at the end of the day, because as a journalist, we went with the entourage and minister and all this stuff, and some directors and even themselves. But some of the directors, when we went to this restaurant, they insisted, we were like, this is your menu. Is it not the price? They said, no, we must pay. It was to us, for them. They pay higher.
Why?
I'm telling you.
Why do you?
But they feel that, see them here suffering. So
okay. So you people that came to enjoy.
Exactly.
So
it's not really something to do.
If you listen to Majer Fashion,
yes, some are doing very well.
Majer Fashion's how did they sing that song? Majer Fashion in New York, my children. Yes, if you listen to that song, you will get twice. He said there are homeless people, and I saw them in 2010. Yes, in 2010, when I went to US, I saw homeless people. I saw people living in cold, very outside, not even on that bridge, outside of the shops. They are there in winter coat, and that's the so. Yes, there are people like Okojo, Chimamanda Adichie, and several other Nigerian professionals who are doing it. But what's the percentage? You need to get the percentage right. Are they up to 30%? They're not. Majority of them are suffering. But when they post behind a big car that does not belong to them and sign the picture on
your
Facebook.
But the thing is that even those that have good jobs here, all of them, the ones that I know that they tell me, bankers, they are living in droves.
No, even I understand, like ICT staff in banks, they are needed in Canada. Yes, those ones they are guaranteed that once you but you are not. It's not like you have any assurances that your skill that you have will be useful to you there. You just want to go and be doing many jobs. After 6 months, your eye will clear.
Honestly, I wish they are hearing us now. Just think twice before you take that.
No, those who the person they said a dog that will get lost will not hear the hunters whistle. So, I wish them well.
Thank you for that good advice. Well, viewers, is where we end today's breakfast show inside Nigeria. Don't forget, same time, same station. Tomorrow is another day. I'm waiting for the breakfast. See you.
It's a pleasure.
They don't want to hear.
They won't.
And they're doing so.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.